Ooh.
All right, here we go. All right, here we go again.
Okay.
Welcome to another episode of Kate and Isaiah Living Large. I'm Isaiah.
And I'm Kitty Kate.
And it is our Halloween episode. So for those of you who don't watch on YouTube, you're missing out on our lovely masks. Welcome to our Halloween episode. This comes out, we will be running into Halloween weekend. I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite holidays. What about you?
Halloween's all right. As a child, I like the candy. I also am a child of the theater, so I love dressing up, and for a good reason. Like I don't want to just dress up for the sake of dressing up. If I'm going to a party, I put my all into it. Like a couple of years ago, we are at the old office. We did a whole rock star theme, and I dressed up as the lead singer of Twisted Sister, and that was pretty killer.
That's pretty nice. I love Halloween. I love dressing up. I am also a theater kid.
You do cosplay and everything, right?
I did. I don't really do as much anymore. I mean, I really want to get back into it, but I'm taking the mask off. You taking the mask off?
Yeah, I'm taking the mask off. Big reveal. Oh my gosh, there's the new Isaiah. Where'd you go
from? Look at us.
Wow.
Yeah, I did cosplay. I want to get back into it. I have some costumes I want to make, but I just haven't found the motivation nor the funding to do it at the moment.
It's fair.
It is expensive. It is an expensive hobby.
Yeah,
for sure. And I'd really like to have a 3D printer because it would make that hobby, I mean, more expensive at the top, but less expensive at going through.
Yeah.
Those of you guys with 3D printers, you guys are so lucky. Right. But yeah, let's talk a little bit of Halloween. I think we just might as well jump into it. We don't need to talk about anything else because I love Halloween. So, yeah, I did theater stuff too when I was in high school, and I obviously like being the center of attention and like being out there and whatnot. So that's why I like the Halloween. I like dressing up. I like pretty much all of it.
So give me some notable and memorable Halloweens of childhood.
So I remember one Halloween I wanted to go as Aladdin. So it's more the costume than anything. I wanted to go as Aladdin, and specifically for my like hat thing that Aladdin wears. I think it's called a fez. My grandmother took a margarine container and just put like red fabric over it and then a string. So I had like a margarine container on my head with fabric on it.
I mean, that would be pretty excellent looking.
There's definitely a photo floating around somewhere online of it, of me as a child with that on.
That's adorable.
That's definitely one big thing. What about you? What's the thing that you recall from Halloween?
Because of what we are as a podcast, I'm going to bring it down a little bit.
Oh.
No, well, I've talked about this before. I was a really tall kid, and when I was 10 years old, I dressed up as the nurse from hell. And my mom had this book, and she did like this really incredible face paint job. Yep. It was like a scary skull looking thing. And then her friend Paula lent me her nurse's uniform. She indeed was a nurse. And so it was like the old nurse's cap the white, and it was like a whole thing. And I went trick-or-treating with a couple of friends at 10 years old, and we didn't have our parents with us because that was like the cool, mature thing to do. And it was the 90s, and we didn't have helicopter parents then.
Oh, yes.
And so we go trick-or-treating. We go to one house. We've got our pillowcases doing the candy thing. And this person says to me, "Aren't you a little old for this?" And I kind of looked up. I was like, "I'm 10," which is, pretty peak Halloween age.
Yeah.
He's like, "Are you though?" And I was like,
oh
no.
That's terrible.
It was awful. So I was like shamed for my size before I was even fat, and all over Halloween candy.
That's terrible.
But it was a really cool costume. My mom did a really great job on the face paint.
Yeah, for Halloween, I was always a skinny kid in like elementary through till like middle school. I was a skinny kid, then I found food. So I always there was not much a lot with that. I do recall like so and more now when I cosplay now, but even then, I think there's this stigma of this is more about racial than anything of making sure that you wear a costume that people are going to identify, and this happens more in the cosplay universe now now at least that I recognize that it's like if you are of a different ethnicity, you almost need to seek out those characters that are that ethnicity because people will gatekeep those characters.
Right. And I mean, on the flip side of that, that's also a very positive thing when you look at it from, not culturally appropriating other cultures. Not that this is the same scenario, but it's the same similar logic that keeps people from doing things like blackface.
Yes.
Or, wearing feathers and cap to represent indigenous people and things like that. So it's a fine line. And I mean, I guess conversation took a turn quickly.
This is not Halloween anymore. Yeah.
No.
We'll get back to Halloween.
We'll get back to Halloween. But there is a difference between like mocking a culture and then just doing something.
Yeah, for sure.
A vast difference. And it's all about intent.
This is true. It is about intent and context.
Yeah.
Context is huge when it comes to things like that.
100%.
But getting back to Halloween, did you have any like traditions for Halloween when you were a kid?
We as a family were not very tradition oriented people. We did something one year, did something else a different year, and it was all based on time and what we were up to. But I remember vividly one Halloween, my dad and mom had decorated the whole front yard or whatever, and then dad had this really ugly, scary mask. And he dressed up in like plaid shirt, kind of scarecrow-esque with this awful, scary mask on. And he sat in the front yard as trick-or-treaters approached.
My dad did that too.
Crazy. And then as somebody would walk by, he'd like subtly move his arm. Or he'd let a little and then he'd go, whoa, oh man, people were terrified.
My dad did that too, to the point where there was 2 children that lived down the street that wouldn't come to our house anymore.
That's hilarious.
That is, oh man.
That's same funny. Halloween, I think my dad got his because he had bought all this stuff, like the scary stuff, and including these like fake bugs or fake spiders that he threw in mine and my sister's beds. And then months later, he was up in the closet of his office and he was trying to find something, and doesn't the package of these like fall on his head, and he screeched and he was like and because all these bugs flew in his face. It's like, joke's on you, Dad.
That's funny. That's at my house, when I was a kid, the tradition was we'd go around and we'd get our bags and bags and bags of candy. And then me and my sister would get home and we'd lay all our treasures out and we would put all our pops up and all our candy out. And then we would trade back and forth, and we would like, oh, I have more chips than you. You're going to give me more chocolate bars, and we're going to trade back and forth. And that was
sounds very like kumbaya and kind. I took mine and I'd put it beside my bed. And I'm pretty sure I'd binge eat most of my wares in that first night. And whatever I was not into that night, I'd finish within the next 2 days, which I find hilarious when I look at my nephews who have Halloween candy well past Christmas, and then it's coming on Easter. My sister's like, I'm just throwing this away.
I had certain candies I didn't touch. Like I like them more now than I did when I was a kid, but Tootsie Rolls when I was a kid, I hated Tootsie Rolls.
Freaking love them.
Hated them when I was a kid.
I loved everything with sugar and salt.
I also wasn't a black licorice, like anything that had like that flavor. Yeah.
Or whatever. I love black. Anything with sugar and salt.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Big fan. Yeah.
Big fan.
No, those were the two things I always steered away from. And I always loved pop. We always got cans of pop.
I never really cared if I got cans of pop because it was always like the big thing that everybody was chasing. It was like the gold unicorn or whatever.
Yeah, the cans of pop and the full-size chocolate bars.
But they were heavy. They made your bag heavy.
Yeah, but so when I was a kid, me too. When I was a kid, we'd have like a parent that was like would drive to like the end of roads.
You had somebody drive you around?
Well, no, they would stop at the end of roads, and we would like
that's driving you around.
Unload our candy on there, and then we keep walking around.
No, I didn't have that. Well. But I also lived in suburban Quispamsis, where it's house upon house upon house.
I lived out in Martinon, where it's like
not that.
It's like you go down a few neighborhoods, and then you drive to the next one, and you go down a few neighborhoods, and then you drive to the next one.
Was it a thing that you would ever go to a neighborhood that was kind of built like a more suburban?
Yes. When I got older. So when I got into middle school, like middle school, we would go to Westgate.
Okay, yeah.
That was the prime spot when I was a kid.
And now, as an adult, do you have kids come to your door?
We didn't hear last year. This will be our second Halloween this year, and I don't know if we'll have them again this year. But when we lived uptown, we did, and so during COVID Halloween, we put them down at the bottom of the stairs, and we sat at the top of the stairs. So we had some like that when we lived uptown, but that was the first time we ever had kids for Halloween was when we lived uptown.
Okay.
Because most of the time we lived in like buildings that were like apartments, so it was like no one's coming to apartment buildings.
I never have anybody come to my house, so I think I usually shut the lights off and leave. But
surprised you didn't get egged.
Well, I do live on the third floor.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no one's going into a condo building.
No.
Yeah, we always went to Westgate. Westgate was the place for us to go because it was so condensed and
for sure.
We would all go and make our plan when we were in middle school and then high school. I trick or treated right up until like grade 11.
Oh, I stopped trick or treating after that. Shame.
Oh, when you were 10?
Well, maybe I did it a couple more years.
Yeah.
But
10's what, middle school? I don't know.
10? Oh, no, I was in grade 5. I was in grade 5 and still lived in Ontario. And then I moved here, and I think I went out in grade 6, but I don't think I went out in junior high.
No.
Maybe I did. Yeah, maybe. I can't remember. There was a whole incident one time where my mom got mad at me because I have a notoriously messy room and continue to have a notoriously messy house. And mom got mad at me, and so she took it because she went to put something in my closet and everything fell down, and she realized what a state of disarray it was in. So she took it all out and piled it in the middle of my room and said, "You're not allowed to go out until that's all picked up."
Oh no,
which is like totally fair on her part.
Yeah, but Halloween.
Yeah, she didn't. I should have had her clean her room.
Well, yeah. I always went high school. I went out in high school with friends because so the thing was that our neighborhood, it was because we lived out in Martinon. It was everyone knew everyone, right? So
right.
It's like when you're in high school, it doesn't matter because it's like the old ladies want to see you either way.
Yeah, and they probably have a bag for you. Like I know my mom and dad, or my mom, where she lives on Darlings Island, she knows the kids around and has like special bags. Then she has regular treats for the kids that she doesn't know, but she had like these special bags for all the neighborhood kids that were pretty baller.
Yeah. There's definitely a few houses that like had our names and stuff. And then there was one house I remember it was down the dirt road, down the end of the dirt road at the end of like the end of the road. And it was like you had to go through a bunch of darkness to get to his house. It was creepy to get to this guy's house, but he always gave out 50-cent coins.
Cool.
Right. So it was like the treasure to get to it, and everyone who could actually get down there to actually get the 50-cent coin. I have like 5 or 6 of them.
That's hilarious. What a wild use of knowing where you are as a person. I'll show those kids.
Yeah, it was the creepiest place to get to. Way out of the way. It was like a 10-minute walk in the dark, like dark.
Do kids still go trick-or-treating, or do they do those trunk or treat things now?
I think trunk or treat definitely is more of a thing, which actually I think this coming Monday is. Oh no, it'll be past. It'll be the Monday after this is trunk or treat at Harbor Station.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I think trunk or treat is a bigger thing now, and I think going to the mall, McAllister Mall does a thing for kids. But of course, what do I know? We have established multiple times on this show that I don't know anything about children.
Except for the child that you are yourself.
Except for the child that I am myself. What other stories you got for Halloween? Any fond memories? Anything?
No, mostly negative.
Negative.
No, as an adult, I've become masterful at coming up with Halloween costumes on the fly.
Nice.
Because it's not easy to get like an elaborate costume and purchase it when you're my size.
Oh gosh, no.
So, and I also am cheap.
Yep.
So those are two things. So I remember one year I had to work until like 9 p.m. when I was working at Kent Building Supplies. And I decided, and I bought this, I had this face paint stuff, and I came up with this costume idea, which I thought was pretty cool. And I dressed up like the beach. So I wore a pair of like beige pants and a blue top and painted my face. And the face paint was quite pretty. Like it was all very blue and sunsetty, and it had birds on it. And then I'd go up to people and say things like, "Do you want to lie on the beach?" Because, I'm going to make a pun because that's who I am as a person. So I was always kind of proud of that one. That was years and years and years ago. And then another time I had dressed up. There's a girl at work when I worked at the paper, one of my best friends in the entire world, Jocelyn. She and I would often get mistaken for each other at the paper. Okay. This is another funny story, mostly because we're both like larger in stature. We don't actually look alike. We had similar color hair, and we were both larger in stature, but that's about where the similarities ended, which I joked with her the other day when we were talking. By the other day, I mean this summer when I was visiting her. What makes you wonder which end people were looking at, because our faces actually don't look the same. So we leaned into that one year and dressed as each other at work. We wore the same color blazer. She put on my glasses. We put on name tags. I said, "Hello, my name is Jocelyn." She, "Hi, my name is Caitlin." Blah blah blah. And then that same day, I was going to host trivia, and Ashley was working that night. And I was like, "Oh, what am I going to do for trivia Halloween?" And it dawned on me, I was in a meeting, that I could dress up like Ashley.
Nice.
So I looked up in great detail. She has very notable tattoos on her arms. So I was sitting in a meeting near the end of the day, looking at her Facebook, drawing her tattoos on my arm with a Sharpie.
That's funny.
And I wore a big tied shirt because it would be like she was working. And then I raced to Shoppers to find some like purpley red hair dye and threw it in my hair.
That's funny.
And showed up and was like, "I'm dressed like Ashley. I'm Ashley."
That's funny. Shout out to Ashley.
We miss her.
Like Thailand.
Yeah, she's in Thailand right now.
So jealous.
Yeah, she's the best. I love her and miss her.
Yeah. Did you get to see her while she was in town? Yes, we did. Together. I was not fully mentally there. Yeah. What else was I gonna say?
What about you? Any more memorable Halloweens?
Actually, when I was in university, we did a Halloween. Me and Andrea went the year. This will date me. The year that Kanye West walked up on stage for Taylor Swift and stole her mic and said, "I'll give you your moment in a moment," and said, "But Beyonce had the best music video."
Yeah.
So I went as Kanye, and Andrea went as Taylor.
That's perfect.
I know. And I went to, so much so that I went to the barber on Elderdale. There's a barber on Elderdale, and there was a guy there, the only guy in town that could do it. It's called hair tattooing. At the time, there was the only one. I think a lot of people do it now. But I found the design that Kanye West had in his hair.
Oh my God.
And I had for 4 hours, a 4-hour session.
Oh, that's commitment.
Got it cut into my hair. We sat around, he cut my hair, and we'd go outside and he had a smoke, and then we'd come back in, he'd do some more. And yeah, it was like a 4-hour long.
Wild.
For this one Kanye West bit. that I did in.
I appreciate your dedication to the
Yeah.
craft. You gotta commit to the bit.
What was another one we did as a couple? Oh, we did the Bobbits. For those of you who don't know, the Bobbits, look it up. It's great. But basically, I walked around in pajamas with a red spot on my crotch, and she walked around with a hot dog in a jar.
That's offensive.
Yeah. What else did we do as couple costumes? Oh, I went as salt and she went as pepper once.
Okay, that was weak.
Whatever.
You ever see that episode How I Met Your Mother where
Yes, cumin.
yeah, we're salt and pepper and cumin.
Salt and pepper and cumin. Yeah. But no, we've done a few couple costumes that are pretty great.
I don't know what that's like to have a couple.
Sorry.
I'm just joking.
It's fantastic actually. Just to rub it in a little bit.
Oh, cool. Salt wound. You must have played salt.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it was.
On that note.
On that note, what do you got any plans for this Halloween yet?
No.
I know we're getting close. I mean,
I was too busy, too much to think
a
about.
whole lot. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing yet this Halloween. I don't even know if I'm going out. Unfortunately, the friend that typically does the Halloween party works at nights right now and is working like 6 10s and has a child and has another child on the way. So I don't know what my Halloween is looking like this year because it doesn't seem like he's doing anything. Oh, so I gotta rely on other people.
I've got a couple comedy shows leading up to Halloween, but
Yeah.
I'm playing Wasted Day on the 23rd, which will be before this airs. So you missed it. And another one on the 26th, which is tomorrow in this scenario, at
Something like
Grady's
that.
in Salisbury.
Nice. But yeah, that's we're wrapping up here. Again, I love Halloween. But I would, in the comments I'd like to know what's your favorite Halloween moments.
Yeah.
Definitely want to know that. But where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, at Fat Caitlin on TikTok, Kated on Instagram, the Caitlin Dean on Twitter-ish, Kate and Isaiah Living Large on Facebook. What about you?
I am Maritime Brews everywhere. And again, just to plug our mic, trying to get that mic in. That'll be in the link for that will be in the description below, as well as if you're on YouTube, there'll be a URL up above.
Do it or we'll haunt you.
But other than that, if you are listening and you haven't seen the videos yet, you can always pop over to YouTube and see the video and watch us do our hilarious, and you can see our masks, which you missed at the beginning. And if you are on YouTube, if you can like, share, and subscribe and all that fun stuff, definitely appreciate that. It goes a long way to helping out. But other than that, we thank you for listening, and bye.
Goodbye.